Last weekend, American and Chinese officials met quietly in a neutral location, Switzerland, to begin discussions about the trade war they've spent the last couple of months spiraling into, or more accurately, the trade mess Donald Trump dragged both nations into, only to now be seen to be backtracking under pressure. Back on April the 2nd, Trump launched his America First tariff campaign against China in classic Trump fashion, loud, confrontational, and fully expecting that the world, and especially China, would instantly back down.
Countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal.
That was the expectation. The reality, China didn't blink. In fact, Beijing responding with tariffs of its own, and what followed was a tit-for-tat escalation that rapidly froze trade between the world's two largest economies. Trump kept publicly claiming that President Xi Jinping would call him any day now, even lying outright about having already received a phone call, which was immediately denied by his own staff and vocally refuted by the Chinese government. But here's the problem. Neither leader could afford to lose face. In Chinese political culture, to yield unilaterally, especially after being provoked, is unthinkable. And on the other side, Trump's colossal ego and PR-driven presidency made backing down just as difficult. So both countries were locked into a standoff. Before I continue, please subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with the fast-moving world of geopolitics and modern economics. Now, you may be asking, how did it all come to this? Trump's strategy was simple: inflict pain, then offer relief as leverage. He believed China would rush to the table desperate to negotiate, but from Beijing's perspective, this was an unprovoked attack. Their response: you inflicted the pain, so you undo it. Then maybe we can talk. And in the meantime, China played the long game. Here's how. Domestic resilience and unity. Because the tariffs came from an external aggressor, China's leadership found it relatively easy to rally public support. A nationalistic population is far more willing to endure economic discomfort when it's framed as resistance to foreign bullying. They also had diversified trade routes. Despite the tariff war, China reported a 8.1% year-on-year export growth in April, beating expectations. Trade was rerouted to Southeast Asia and Europe, and yes, some Chinese goods still made it to the US just through third countries with slightly higher costs, although still significantly cheaper than if they exported directly to the US due to the tariffs. China also has a bigger vision. President Xi Jinping has been preparing for this kind of confrontation for years. They've done their due diligence. China's long-term goals, which are state-led industrial dominance, tech self-sufficiency, and strategic global partnerships, were only strengthened as America alienated their allies. Trump's chaotic trade policy left many countries burned and drifting towards Beijing's more calmer, more consistent messaging. Contrast that with the Trump administration, which often didn't even seem to know what it wanted. Business leaders and international partners described negotiations as erratic and contradictory, undermined by Trump's habit of publicly announcing concessions or threats mid-talks, blindsiding his own negotiators. Just before this latest round of behind-the-scenes discussions, Trump even blurted out that he was considering reducing tariffs to just 80%, a bizarre public admission that he was the one actually looking for a way out. Going in, China certainly had the stronger hand, both domestically and internationally, and both sides knew it. More importantly, everyone involved knew that this wasn't a chance meeting and that Trump was ready to fold. After all, the meeting in Switzerland was no accident, despite being billed as a coincidental encounter of senior delegations who just happened to decide to sit in a room together for 2 days straight. From the US, the team was led by Scott Bessent, considered competent and pragmatic, but always operating under the shadow of a president who could derail everything with a tweet. From China's side, it was the vice premier He Liang, a trusted President Xi ally with a reputation for quiet confidence and disciplined negotiation. China reinforced its message with sharp discipline. If the US continues to use coercion or pressure tactics, China will walk away. The subtext is, we're not desperate and we're not humiliated. Can you say the same? Crucially, President Xi Jinping gave China a diplomatic off-ramp rather than retaliating with more damaging restrictions that could have crippled American manufacturing and retail. The Chinese leadership allowed Trump to quietly walk back his tariffs without a loud rebuke. And so the tariffs were quietly removed by Trump, and make no mistake, Trump caved. This wasn't a bold strategic recalibration. It was the political equivalent of a folding in a high-stakes poker game while trying to pretend you'd meant to do it all along. And on the Chinese part, it was a classic move in international diplomacy. Let your opponent save face even as he surrenders. For many in Washington and around the world, the whole episode has laid bare Trump's fundamental misunderstanding of how tariffs actually work. They aren't taxes on foreign governments, they're taxes on domestic consumers. And in a globally integrated economy, trying to strong arm your largest trading partner without the plan is like pulling a pin from a grenade and hoping no one notices. Trump certainly expected a quick victory. He got a drawn-out embarrassment instead. His claim that countries were calling us, begging for deals, turned out to be fantasy. His bluff was called, and when the economic pain at home became too politically dangerous to ignore, he folded. In the end, President Xi Jinping didn't need to win the trade war because Trump lost it before it even began. Thanks for watching. If you found this content interesting and informative, subscribe so you know when I upload again.